Hello, I'm Gailya, and today we're going to talk about selling your house as a for sale by owner. I'm a realtor with Compass, and I work with all kinds of people, and some of them have sold their house on their own, and some of them have tried and haven't been successful. But either way, this is the path for you to get from where you are to sale. And I'm going to give it to you in 10 points. The first one is getting the house ready. We have the exterior and the interior. So I want you to go out in the front, go across the street on the sidewalk and stand there and shut your eyes and just get everything out of your head, and then open your eyes as a buyer. As a buyer. Now you can't, everybody has a very strong affection and attachment to their home. And the hardest part of this process is detaching and thinking of your home as a product. I have a marketing background, and all marketing deals with selling to the buyer and enticing the buyer to buy the product. So they know their audience. They know, so in this instance, you know the kind of people moving into your neighborhood. So you're going to have to sort of package it to attract those people. And when they get there and see it, it will really be something that they love. Okay, so on the outside, here's what you want to see. Is there a tree that is so big that you can't see the house? If it is, it needs to be trimmed a lot or taken out, which breaks my heart. I hate when anybody has to take down trees, but you got to be able to see the house. The other thing is the front door. Is the front door fresh? I always ask my sellers to repaint the front door or restain it and put something glossy on it, and use glossy paint, and make sure that the door knocker and the doorknob are look nice. If they don't look nice, replace them. Then as far as beauty is concerned, make sure that the flower beds have flowers, something with color in it. If your flower beds are shrubs and greenery, that's great. Then put great big pots of flowers on your porch or next to your front door, or somewhere around a tree in the front yard. We need some color, okay? Then walk around the house and look for wood rot. That's usually around the windows. Look up at the eaves, look up at the gutters, make sure that they're clean and the gutters aren't full. Make sure there's nothing on your roof like a limb, or that if there's roof damage of any kind, you need to probably take care of it. Then as you're walking around, if there's any broken glass or cracked glass, you're gonna have to address that. If there's any paint that's peeling, depending on how bad it is, you may wanna take care of it. Otherwise, just remember it and know that the buyer is gonna ask you to do something about it later. The garage is also a room in the house. So when we get to the interior, even though it seems like an exterior, we're gonna talk about the garage. So interior. I am a stager. I love to get a house ready, and when I can't do it, or we need some different pieces, I have certain people to help me, and it costs money, but that's what we do. And the first thing I'm going to say is the hardest thing you're going to hear, and here it is. I need you to get rid of between a third and half of what you have in your home. Truly, truly. It'll be everything from half of what's in your closet. If you have seasonal clothes, get them out of there. I live in a very small home, and I redid mine, and I painted the closet white because it was painted brown. And then I got those velvet hangers, and they're spaced 1 inch apart. So when I get too many things in the closet and I can't get them 1 inch apart, then I have to do something different, because I know how it has to look. I kind of live in a staged world in my home because I love it to be just right. So if there's anything on the floor, get it off the floor. People won't look in your drawers of things. I've never seen anybody do that except in a kitchen. But if there's a laundry basket, you might want to put it away. If there is a dog bed or whatever, make sure that it's in the laundry room. Anything having to do with pets, some people don't like pets. I mean, you know, if somebody's a dog person and they know cats live there, they'll probably freak out for a minute. It takes everybody a second. But you want to make it as appealing to the widest audience possible. okay? On the kitchen counter and the bathroom counter, almost nothing. For sure, nothing having to do with dental hygiene in the bathroom or with combing your hair or anything like that. Put a plant on the cabinet top. Put everything else underneath. Even if you have to get a little carrier at the dollar store or at Container Store to put your stuff in that you usually have there, do that and hide it somewhere. The kitchen is the same way. The kitchen needs to be beautifully blank because we want them to see themselves in it. Anytime you have really personal stuff in your house, like family pictures or religious icons, you need to put those away. For the same reason, people need to be able to see themselves in the house, and you don't know, where their background comes from. So just, this is nothing personal. This is marketing 101, okay? Make sure everything is clean. If there is a kid that has a room painted purple, I would take care of that. If there is anything that is very, very personal, just change it to neutral. Please, I'm giving you the best advice to sell it, I promise you. The house flow is going to be important, so if you have too much furniture in a room, it won't fly. Now, having said that, when I come over to a listing appointment, I always take my phone with me and I take pictures of every room, because when I get home, I want to be able to see what furniture is in the room, what art is in the room, how it's spaced, what we need to remove, maybe what we need to move around the room, or do we need to get a stager to bring a different piece in, so that it will look fresh and clean and somebody walk in and go, oh my, I love this. I could see myself here. I've actually had people ask if they can buy the furniture. The thing you can do, and I want you to take pictures of your rooms and then just walk away from it for a while. You might want to do this with a girlfriend or with a friend of the family. Look at them. Look at them like you are a marketing director for a magazine, and tell me whether they cut it. In the master bedroom, by the way, you don't have to take, like when you put pictures online, you only need the living room, the dining room, the master bedroom, the master bath. If there's a second bath, which there must be, take that. If there's a special laundry room and it looks nice, take that. If there's any kind of outdoor amenity, for sure, take that. But you don't need all the bedrooms, for sure. You just don't need it. If there is a pool, for sure. If there is a deck, yes, lovely. Outdoor living is very important right now. The other thing is, I want you to go to a company called Shoot to Sell, SHOOT, the number 2, Sell, SELL, and get them to come out and have professional pictures taken. It is uber important. I can't tell you how many crappy pictures I've seen on Trulia and Zillow and places, even sometimes on MLS with a realtor that doesn't want to spend the money to do the pictures. Realtors pay for that. So, and it only costs between $100 and I think $130, and they do every room, and it's, if you've done it right and it's clean and nice and bright, open the windows, not literally open the windows, open the blinds, lift the shades, open the drapes, get as much natural light as possible. The very best pictures taken in real estate don't have all the overhead lighting on. They have beautiful natural light. Now, if your home is dark, that's not going to work, and you use lighting, okay? But please use a professional photographer. It is worth every penny. Pricing. Pricing is going to be a stumbling block for most people, because you've lived there and you've loved it, and you know why you love it, and you know every single thing you've had to fix, and you know the history of the house. But every single thing we have to fix doesn't improve the value. It just keeps the value where, it just keeps it working. I mean, there's a certain amount of, what are we paying to live here? And that is to keep it up. You have to keep the plumbing up. You have to keep the systems up. You have to repaint it every now and then. You have to keep the yard up. So those things, that doesn't necessarily raise the price. The way to get the proper price is to find out the houses in your subdivision that have sold within the last, I'd say, appraisers are supposed to use the last 6 months, but given where we are today, today's July 4th, and the COVID situation, I would do it for the last 12 months. And just Google it. I mean, I do it on MLS because I can find those really quickly, and then I can evaluate them by square footage and by the condition. The three things that are most important in homes are location, pricing, condition. If there's one of those you can't change. You can't change the location, okay? But you can change the condition and the price. And if you get it right, it will work beautifully, okay? So let's do what we can to get everything in your favor. We want to just tilt it so that it works and you get that house sold. The other thing is, so in pricing, there's three strategies. You can price it high, a little higher than what the numbers tell you is the number. You can price it right at or in the range, right there where the comps say it should be. Or you can price it slightly, I mean very slightly, under what the comps say it should be. The too high, everybody thinks, well, they'll just make me an offer and I'll see what I get. They won't make you an offer. People search in increments, number one. So if I'm looking for a house under $500,000, I'm not going to go up to $525 to look. I'm going to go up to $5. And then, which is also, if I'm talking to a buyer, I tell them to look to $525 because there could be some negotiation. But you'll miss a lot of people if it's priced wrong. And the whole deal with selling is getting enough eyes on it and enough feet through the door to get somebody to fall in love with it. The other thing about the middle one, right on it, usually works really well. And then the last one, especially in certain price brackets, I'd say right now anything $550 or below, if you'll price it just barely under the comp, you'll get, I mean, we've had multiple offers on several homes lately because of that. So it's a strategy. But on my clients, if they decide to go with the highest price, one that is not supported by the comps, I say, okay, let's do this. Let's do 2 weeks of the price that you think we can get. And then if during that 2 weeks we haven't had X number of showings and we haven't had an offer, then you agree to go back to the number that the comps say, that the numbers say, and that I think we could sell this house at. The danger of that is the first 10 days to 2 weeks of introducing your home to the market is crucial. It's when realtors are looking for houses that they can take their clients to. It's when, everything that comes up on it says new, and all of my buyers are looking all the time. When they see something new, they just go nuts. So, and that's also when we do the most marketing, because we introduce it to brokers. Brokers are my other realtors are my first audience because they have multiple clients. It's not just buyer by buyer by buyer by buyer. It's like, okay, if I can reach 500 realtors, I may have 1,000 buyers. So marketing's important. You're gonna put it, I'm sure, online and with the professional pictures. And the next thing that's gonna happen is you're going to get calls for showings. And you'll get calls that just want to talk to you about the price right away. And you say, you know what, I'm not talking about price on the phone. If you want to come see the house and discuss it, we certainly can do that. But when they come in to showings, it has to be perfectly clean. There can't be any clutter at all. It has to be just like it was the day they photographed it. People will want to see it at all times of day and evening, and weekends, a lot of weekends. And it really is on you to make yourself available at those times. And we want you to leave during the showing. So any personal jewelry and things like that should be well hidden. They won't look for it, but just things that if somebody could palm it, don't leave it out. It's not a good thing. I trust people for the most part, and I haven't ever had it happen, but I've had other people say that it has happened to them. So you have to have showings, and every time the house has to look really nice. So then you're gonna get a contract, hopefully. Let's say you get a contract, and you're gonna have to negotiate. The first thing in both the comps and the contract is you need to go to DCAD, which is our tax base, and it's just DCAD. And if you type that in, Google will bring it right up. Go there, look for appraisals, then go to Buy Address, and then find your address, click on it, and you'll find the lot, the block, and the subdivision. You'll also find, if you look down further, the size of the lot. If your lot is bigger than 50 by 150, put that in your listing, because big lots are hard to find and some people love them. And that's probably all you need from that. You need to check and see what they say the square footage is and make it accurate. The number of beds and baths is going to be important, and DCAD might not have caught up to a renovation project that you did, so if there's a discrepancy, at some point you'll have to discuss it with the buyer. So you're going to negotiate that contract. All I can tell you about negotiating a contract is, like, set your personal feelings aside totally. They may come in with an offer $50,000 less than what you want, and you'll get pissed and you'll get angry, and don't act or talk in that framework. Come back to it and give them a counteroffer, and do it verbally first. You don't need to do paper and paper and paper and paper. Don't take a contract that's not in writing first. You don't want to start negotiating verbally until there is paper on it. And then if you're dealing with an agent on the other side, then you'll be dealing with that person and talking to them and say, this is a ridiculous offer. I'm not going to do it. But if they're willing to do this, then I might. So he or she will work on it and work with you. Now, the thing you have to know is her job is in the interest of the buyer. So if you're doing this yourself, the one thing I worry about you missing is having somebody whose job it is to protect you and is there in your best interest, because that's what realtors do. Texas realtors are the most educated and regulated realtors in the United States. We have to have more hours than anybody, and we have to get them over and over again to stay licensed by the state. So you'll have to, there's a clause in the contract about a survey. Everybody wants to be able to use a survey that you got when you bought it. Now, if you've been there for 20 years, I, as a realtor, wouldn't accept it. I'd ask my buyer to get a new survey. But if you do have a survey and you want to use it, you can. You just have to have a form that basically says that you have not done anything to the property that's not on the survey. So if you built a deck that's not on it, if you put a pool in that's not on it, if you enlarge something, you have to tell them you're going to have to get a new survey. The next thing that's going to happen is they're going to want an appraisal. They're going to have an appraisal if they're getting a loan. And I'm going to take a step back. When you get that contract, if the buyer is not paying cash, don't sign it unless you have a letter of pre-approval on that buyer. That means they're qualified. A letter of pre-qualification, anybody can get online on Quicken. They can print it within a minute. But a pre-approval, they've had to submit certain things to a lender, and a lender has actually verified them, and you know that they can get a loan for the amount that they'd have to get to buy your house. So you don't want to take your house sort of off the market for just anybody. You want to make sure that these people that are coming with a contract can buy your house. So make sure you get that. The other thing is know your forms. I'm just going to show you really briefly. People think that it's easy to do these forms, and I have to tell you that it's one of the hardest things when you become a realtor to learn is the forms. Because every single item has to be filled out right, and if you fill it out wrong, you can leave your seller unprotected, or you could leave your buyer unprotected. So we get really good at this. This is a seller's disclosure, and the reason that I'm showing you a seller's disclosure, and it's 6 pages of pages and pages, it's what you fill out. Your realtor can't help you fill it out, even if you had a realtor. You fill this out about the condition of every single thing in your home, and it has to be honest, and it has to be right. This is the most litigated form after a sale, is when a seller does not fill out the seller's disclosure honestly, and then the buyer has some repercussion from it and sues. So you want to do this right, and it's very important, and the buyer's agent will want to see it. Oftentimes they'll want to see it before they even give you a contract to look at. The next thing is going to be the contract, which is 9 lovely pages, and every single little place in it has to be filled out, and you have to know what to put there to protect yourself. There's a book out by a realtor, by one of the women that teaches real estate at a real estate school, and I think it's called 20 Ways a Buyer Can Get Out of a Contract in Texas. I have not read it because I don't want to see those, but I assume people are not going to. The option fee is something you have to consider in a contract, which is usually 7 to 14 days, and that's the period of time that they get to kick the tires. They get to bring an inspector over. They can inspect anything they want. The foundation, a general inspector will inspect everything, and then if he finds something that he thinks needs further inspection, they can do that. Then they're going to come back to you with a list of what the inspector found that was defective. It cannot be cosmetic. You're not going to fix cosmetic things, but you have to know about the things that are not working. And they're going to either want money for it at closing, which means that when you get your money, the closing company is going to take a certain amount out for them to repair it, or you're going to be asked to repair it. I always want the money for my clients so that they can get their own contractors. But when the person that's asking you, the person that gives you the form back and says, look, this is what they found, this is what we want, I would say, well, you need to get the estimates for it. I'm not going to assume that you know what you're talking about when you're asking for X amount of money. I need to see estimates, and I do that for all of my clients. So we know what we're looking at. So the last form that I'm going to talk to you about is this is the third-party financing. This is not the last one, but it's one of the important ones. This is about the loan for the other guy. And the important part here is that you need to know whether their contract is contingent on the loan approval. Most of them are, but that means that if the lender finds something at the last minute that makes them not qualify, that he says, sorry, not going to do the loan. We've had some deals fall out at the closing table because people got furloughed or lost their job between the time they wrote the contract and did everything. I mean, they're sitting at the closing table, and the lender calls and says, can't do it. He doesn't have a job anymore. I can't do it. So then we close it down, we scramble, and a parent steps in sometimes. So the forms are very important. So those were the 10 things. I hope you got a good takeaway. This is certainly not every single detail, but I tried to give you the main things, and I hope it helped. And if you need anything from me, just let me know. Thanks.